they knew what was the big selling point of the first movie. It was the action. So the movie is full of so much action, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. The movie's full of so much action that this little bit of time we spend with these characters, it doesn't matter.
It really doesn't.
The drama does not matter here, man. And to be honest with you, it doesn't make sense. They revealed something at the end of this movie. I almost got mad. I'm like, bitch, are you serious? You know what I'm talking about? I'm like, wow, you was with all this time without saying that? And you knew how it felt? I was like, man, come on now. That writing is terrible right there. Go on over to dtmerch.com. Show some love to us by getting that merch that we have available for you. Check us out. Double Toasted live in Atlanta. That's going to be September 2nd for a night of comedy games and the after party that we have going on for you. That's going to be at the Marriotta's new theater in the square. Let's go ahead and get into our review for Extraction 2. And of course, this is the follow-up to Extraction 1, where you had Chris Hemsworth as Tyler Rake, who had to, what else, but extract a kid. I forgot, man. I haven't seen this in so long.
He's the world's saddest mercenary.
Yeah, he sure is. just goes underwater to cry.
What the hell is he doing?
Yeah, he's crying, man.
Yeah.
You know, he's in the water because he doesn't want people to see his tears. But he is sad. He's a mercenary for hire. He's sad because his son is dead, and he feels like I had something to do with that. At least I wasn't there for him. So when somebody says, you got to help this little boy get out of somewhere, I forgot where it was.
Yeah, me too. I forgot something. It was a third world country.
Something, you know. But as a little boy, he says, well, you know what? I let down my child and look what happened. I got to help this kid too. And the big thing though is that's a very simple premise, but everybody loved the action in this movie.
Yeah.
The action in this movie was amazing. You know, what you see right here is just a sample of one of the many one-shot set pieces that they had here. But it is based off of a graphic novel. So I don't know about, Extraction 2. I don't know if that is a continuation in graphic novel form, but the original was based on that. And they did a pretty good job at it. So now we have 2 here where, just a little spoiler alert. If you don't want to hear, just give it a second. But in the last movie, Tyler Rake, mercenary for hire, sad mercenary for hire, Tyler Rake, sensitive mercenary. He was thought to be possibly dead, but there was no body to be found. He just fell in the water. So, just like any kind of hero or slasher or serial killer, if there's no body, they'll be back. And that is the case right here. Now, what's that?
Well, it's just, he's suicidal through the whole movie. And yeah, he gets, he comes to life to save this kid. And then it's like at the end, it's like, okay, I get my reward. I get to die. And then in this one, they were like, nah, we got something else to do. Bring your ass back.
Clear. But with this one, he has a bigger mission. This time he has to save his sister-in-law and their kids. They've been held up by some mafia, in Georgia, Russia. These brothers are running the whole city, and one of the brothers is and they really don't go into it that much. But one of the brothers is married to his Tyler Rake's sister-in-law, and says, you know what? If I cannot be with my wife outside of prison because his ass got caught, then I want my wife to be brought in here with me, along with the kids. So, this is his family. And especially since his ex-wife already guilt trips his ass most of the time. Hey, you let our son die.
Come on now.
Hey, you know what? Why don't you quit for once and do something right? Why don't you go get my sister out of prison? And so, of course, since he's already guilt tripped and sad, he does that. And hey, look, it works out for everybody. He does this for family. He does this for his ex-wife, and he does it for us because hopefully we get some more great action scenes like we did in the first. But how's the rest of the film? Let's go ahead and take a look at this trailer for Extraction 2. Ha-ha! Surprise! Oh shit! Yeah. Extraction 2 mixtape right there. Love this music. But I want to talk about this for a particular reason other than just doing a review, which is why I thought that this would make a good discussion a few days after the movie came out on Netflix. And to do that, I want to actually start out I want to start with a complaint. I usually don't like to start
Yeah, you never
reviews
did.
negatively.
Not you.
No, it is not. I don't like to start reviews negatively, but I'm going to do that for a particular reason that we'll talk about later. But let me just say, as opposed to the first movie, now this is where I think, having been a graphic novel, where the first movie had a little bit more of an advantage, I think there were better characters in the first movie. I think because the characters had more character. I think they had more personality. And don't get me wrong, looking at this movie, I'm not saying that they're, the characters are terrible. I'm just saying that they're best when they're being badasses. The action is so cool that you root for them. When they're taking out bad guys, I mean, look at that. You got Chris Hemsworth steamrolling through a train, just slicing through dudes. You can't help but root for him, man. But if these characters aren't killing somebody, beating the shit out of somebody, or running from fire and bullets, I think they're just bare minimum personalities.
Flat.
Flat as hell.
Because that was one of the things with the first Extraction. What made it surprise was not only the well choreographed action scenes and the chase scene and all that, but there was some feeling. Like Chris Hemsworth being the reluctant, hero mercenary who has to take this kid who at first he doesn't even like.
Yeah.
But then they bond, and then you were with them and you're rooting for him the whole time. And this time, I wasn't getting that feeling. First off, having characters from the first movie come along, it was almost like, well, it's an obligation, but this will link them back to the first movie.
Yeah.
And then with the whole situation, I was like, yeah, I'm just not feeling it. Matter of fact, I'm almost like thinking, if I'm him, I'm going, this is too much. I'm out of here.
Yeah, people, these characters in here, it suffers from being a sequel. You had source material for your first movie, and you used it well. And being a sequel now is like you ran. That book ran out. You ran out. You got nothing after this, man.
Let's see the script. Oh, well, let us see the graphic novel. There's not one. You got to write something.
Shit, man.
That's hard.
This is some Chat GPT shit right here.
Chat GPT could write something.
Yeah,
a little better.
Man,
I gotta be honest.
Because what they're doing is what made the first one cool, where Chris Hemsworth's character Tyler Rake, what made him appealing was that he was reluctant to do this because we didn't know what was really happening at first, but then we found out that he was upset about his kid who was dead, and that the drama there did carry weight. The drama does not carry any weight right here. Rake is upset about the death of his kid, but that plays very little into the movie now.
It really does. That's not much of a thing. It's just like, well, I'm trying to save these two people. Who are they? It's my ex-wife's sister. You're like, man,
So yeah. They knew what was the big selling point of the first movie. It was the action. So the movie is full of so much action, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. The movie's full of so much action that this little bit of time we spend with these characters, it doesn't matter.
It really doesn't.
The drama does not matter here, man. And to be honest with you, it doesn't make sense. They revealed something at the end of this movie. I almost got mad. I'm like, bitch, are you serious? You know what I'm talking about? I'm like, wow, you was with all this time without saying that? Mm-hmm. And you knew how it felt? I was like, man, come on now. That writing is terrible right there. I said, that's not really a plot hole, but I don't know. That just doesn't make sense.
Well, also, our villain is just generic Russian, military gangster. You're like, boring.
Yeah, the villain that we have here, man. That's the problem with both the villain and Chris Hemsworth's character in this movie. That's the villain right there. I don't even remember him because he's not very memorable. Because I think that the drama that they have here, it puts not only a damper on the film, not only puts a damper on the story, not only puts a damper on these characters, but it puts a damper on Chris Hemsworth's performance in this. Because I can tell you when he's not doing action and he tries to start trying to be sensitive and pensive and reflective, it don't come across that way. It come across as like he's always like he forgot something. Where did I put my keys? Did I lock the door to the car? It's like,
wait, okay, did I buy tomatoes or not? Because I can't make the salt if I didn't buy tomatoes.
He's on shrooms and that shit kicked in, he just, it's like it's not working, man. He looks lost. Look like he don't know what to do when he ain't shooting somebody. But what do I do now? I don't know, man.
They cheated me on eggs. I know it.
I think what could have happened here, what could have made this better is, a wild movie like this, because it is wild. It's crazy, over the top. A wild movie like this could have used some over the top characters, over the top performances. Could have used more humor. I mean, I'm sorry, I'm not saying that you can't have a drama and do this, except the drama wasn't written very well. If you don't have that much time to spend on it, in my humble opinion, I think that's when you need to bump up the humor, have just, the characters be a little lighthearted, have some really funny lines written. I actually saw places where I said, man, if you had said this at this moment, that would have been so memorable.
Yeah.
You're right, Martin. The villain in this, let me find this fool.
He's just very generic.
He is.
Yeah.
Martin's right. No, he's
Got one speed.
extremely generic villain that we have here. Hold on, let me mark where this kid is. I hate his ass too.
When you have a good villain, you're happy when they show up, either because they say something that's witty or funny, or because they're just so terrifying that it makes you go, "Oh shit!"
Shit, like Homelander.
Yeah.
But this guy, you're like, all right, well,
Yeah.
Can we have this conversation so we can get him out of here?
You see this expression on his face?
Right.
That's the whole movie.
Boring.
When he's not killing somebody, he just looks bored. He's worse than Chris Hemsworth. He looks like he did, because the thing is, Chris Hemsworth, at least he looks like he wants to be there. He might be lost every now and then, but he look like he just don't even want to be there. Even when he kills a lackey, he still get that same expression on his face. He kills somebody with a pitchfork. And it's like, damn, man, look angry or something. He has an interesting backstory. He kills a lackey, somebody with a pitchfork, and face just as blank.
Yeah.
I was like, come on, man. He looked just like that. No matter how cruel or evil your villain is, if they don't have personality, you just don't care.
Right.
And this confrontation that we would eventually get with Hemsworth and this guy, it didn't matter to me.
Yeah. By the time, it takes forever to get to it, and then by the time you do, you're like, I don't care. And it's just one of these things. I don't know. As I get older, I look at the economy of things. I was like, man, you're wasting a lot of henchmen just to get your wife back. You don't want to be here, and this doesn't really work. It doesn't make sense.
Everybody keeps telling him, this plan sucks, man. And by the way, ain't no plan.
Yeah.
Your plan is just to get dudes killed.
Mm-hmm.
And even people come in, you lost 10 men today. I don't care.
They're like, well, we care.
Sure, I don't want
Right.
My biggest complaint with the characters in this movie, Sandro, this kid.
I know.
I hate this kid right here.
They write kids like this and stuff all the time.
Yeah, this kid I despise. This is the kid in a movie where every one of his actions gets multiple good guys killed because he doesn't listen, because he's stupid, because because he believes the villains more than he believes the guys who are actually trying to help him. I hate this kid. There was so many times I wanted Chris. I'll be honest with you. I wanted him to die.
Oh, me too.
I want a bullet in his head. I didn't want to put it there, but I wanted this dude to catch one in the dome, and I wanted him to be gone.
In the dome?
On the dome. Thunderdome. I wanted that shit. I wanted him gone.
I don't know about that. I was just thinking like a bullet in his ass to where he would have to limp along.
He had to go. I wanted him dead. As a kid, he got so many people killed because he was stupid and intentionally stupid. Everybody was telling him, man, don't do this. Man, we're helping you. Your mother needs you. No. What is my father? What is my uncle? He's revealing everything to everybody along the way. This kid, man. And you know what? Hey, look, okay, I'll go soft. I wanted Chris Hemsworth to pull him aside and punch him in his face. Not his stomach. I want him to punch him in his jaw and say, stop. I will say this about the movie outside the characters. Fortunately, I think most of the action in this movie is amazing, just like the first one. And I think they expand on it, almost to a flaw, to the detriment of the story. But the action in it is pretty amazing, man. And really, that's the star of the film. You know, that if they could actually say, if they could put in the credits, action, starring action as action, it would get top billing, because that is the real star of the movie. And mainly the one-shot takes. You know, the highlight in this movie is the prison break, which leads to a car chase, leads to a runaway train. And the reason why I think that it works is not just because of the gimmick of the one shot, which I think is great, but I also think it works because, you know, they have these individual shots that work within the long shot itself. I was talking about this with one of the editors, and we kind of agreed that, you know, what they were doing here. You know, first of all, they do a lot of things with these one shots. They establish the challenge ahead, you know, like the prisoners that they have to fight.
Mm-hmm.
They with the camera, as you can see the way it's constantly moving, and what they're doing is they're setting up the obstacles that they have to go through.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so you see kind of like, all right, you got to get from this point to that point, and you see all the people in between. Yeah, and it's like, oh shit, man, that really creates a lot of suspense and anticipation. The violence is felt, man. The camera follows certain actions. You know, you'll be picking up a shovel, they'll follow the hand, picking up the shovel going to somebody's face. You know, it's amazing. Just mesmerizing camera work that they got going on here, and it makes you feel like you are in it. Mm-hmm. You know, the whole time you feel like shit. I was watching my back.
Dog.
Well, these fools about to run up on me. You know?
Well, that is something they do very well, because so often when you watch action movies and somebody's fighting and tons of people around them, but like everybody only approaches them one at a time. They make their way through. There's bullets going back and forth, but the hero's just walking like he ain't at least at all worried about getting hit in the back or hit with a bullet. And here, it's like, I'm taking these guys out, but here's somebody else coming on top.
It looks like there's chaos everywhere.
Yeah. That's the point. You make a great point. You don't know where the attacks are coming from, man, which makes you feel like that they do a great job making you feel like that you are in the middle of this riot too. And that's one of the things I also love. The fight choreography in this, it doesn't look rehearsed. It doesn't look like ballet. It looks dirty.
It looks like a brawl.
It looks like a street brawl. It looks nasty. It looks dirty.
And his moves it's a very much economy of movement.
Yeah. Throw Martin back in there.
No, it's economy of movement. You watch what he's doing. He's doing just what he needs to get these people off and move on to the next person, as opposed to let's have a pose down and get into forms and stuff. Yeah.
No, it's dirty. Downright dirty fighting, man. And also, this is like a video game in the best way, man. You feel like, because in video games, when you are playing, you know, there are no cuts. You know, you're tracking your movement a whole way. It's from your first person point of view. And a lot of this feels like that, especially when they're doing stuff like when they're on the train and gunning down helicopters and whatnot.
I agree with you, but to me that was more kind of a little bit of a negative, because as I was watching it, I just felt so much like I was playing Far Cry or Uncharted. I was like, man, I don't know about this Extraction, but this dude should be the one to direct a Uncharted movie.
Yeah,
because it very much had that. I mean, there was just so many sequences where my hands were like reaching for the controllers. As I was doing it, and I was like, it's cool. It is cool, but at the same time, it's so hyper. It's hyper realistic that like it's not. It kind of took me out of it a little bit.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
It kind of reminded me of Crank, also.
Yeah, I could see that. To me, it was just like, well, I'm just watching somebody play a game with a first-person shooter or a brawler with some of the best graphics ever, you know.
Hardcore Henry has a lot of this feel to it, too.
Yeah. And on top of that, one of the things I like about the fight scenes here, people get hurt. The hero gets hurt. If you can, look, I'm going to show you something right now. You can see, if you look over here, you can see this dude back here about to bust him upside his goddamn head.
My turn.
Yeah. And in the middle of this, Chris Hemsworth character, Tyler Rake, he gets stabbed and he gets, you know, he's constantly getting punched and he gets knocked in the back of the head and he's out for a little while, like you would expect somebody in a big fight like this.
Where the Tweety Birds?
He got little Thor's dancing around. Yeah, I mean, I loved this fight right here, man.
That's amazing camera work.
And also, it feels like an escort mission in a game, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
because there are moments where, you know, if he takes his eye off of his sister-in-law too long, she's gonna get grabbed. Mm-hmm. And y'all know how that is in a game where you have an escort mission. That's why people don't like them sometimes, because you're so busy and they just snatch the person up that you're supposed to be protecting.
He's way over there.
Damn. Yeah. And you feel the desperation. It's like he's fighting for his life, but he's also fighting to keep these people close to him, which seems damn near impossible in this kind of situation. And another thing, talking about when people get hurt, I mean, when they get hurt, they get hurt. You know, when people get stabbed, it's not like in movies where they get that heroic grunt like, oh, ugh. No, when they get stabbed, it's like, ah! They shriek, man. Yeah, and the way they flow from one set piece to another within one shot. As I said, that's the thing that makes it feel like a video game. That's what makes it feel like Call of Duty at a certain point. But it's also just feels flawless the way they do it. It's seamless. And it left me breathless, man. Like I said, they go from the prison to a car chase, and then they get on this train, and that's a whole other long sequence right there, man. And, you know, and it's cool because every team member, you know, with these long set pieces and one shots, it's not just Chris Hemsworth's character that gets to go in and do all the action. You know, his team members also get moments to go in and do their badassery.
That does feel like Uncharted.
Yes.
Yeah, watch that.
And as I said, you know, if you continue to watch this, they get to a point where, what's the chick? Nick. That's his boss's name.
Yeah.
The woman that he works for. She there's a moment here where she gets to show how she can handle herself. See, I told you.
This shit hurt for real.
Yeah, I told you, man. These people are in pain when they get stabbed. That's Golshifteh Farahana that plays the character of Nick. I'm sure I messed that name up, but that's who that actress is. You know, it's so good that the movie kind of gets, I guess, it gets bogged down by the action a little bit sometimes. But it does help to overlook some of the flaws that I had with the character for myself. You know, at the same time, I will say this: the action is so amazing here that you saw how well it worked when they had a good story and good characters in the first movie. So you kind of wish they did have a better movie right here, man. As far as the characters go, as far as the story goes, it would have added to the fun of what they're doing here. Because whenever they're not doing this, it's just not much. It's almost boring.
Yeah.
But I'll say this, man. I saw some people putting the movie down, like giving it negative reviews. And I would say that, I don't know, for myself, and maybe you can help me understand because you might not agree with me here. But, you know, it makes me wonder, why does John Wick get a pass? You know,
I've been saying this for the entirety of the John Wick series.
That movie looks just like John Wick.
I would say that it's not better or worse. It's just different. So maybe that's why it gets a pass. But John Wick is nothing but action at this point. John Wick is really, when you take everything away from John Wick and that dog and all that kind of stuff, he's not that big of a personality. I love John Wick. I love Keanu Reeves as John Wick.
Why?
Because of the action that he does.
Okay, but you said you love John Wick.
And Keanu Reeves.
Oh yeah, it's just. You know, it's the way his story is set up at first just kind of has lasted with me.
This is answering your question. Like so much of the mystique of John Wick happens in that first 30 or 45 minutes of the first movie. That's what built it up. Right. You know, hey, you killed his dog. Love dogs. How dare you do this? Now he's going for revenge and
got him out of retirement.
And it's really all of it hinges on John Leguizamo's on the phone call. That builds the legend. Like everything they say after that, that's a bunch of bullshit. But that reaction right there, and people love Keanu. So with John Wick, it's a legend that has built itself, and everybody has contributed to that. The movie itself doesn't even matter.
Well, I can tell you, to answer your question though, I can tell you it's not just John Wick. So first of all, they set up just a legendary origin story. This guy going after his dog. But on top of that, you know, I've always said that they've set up this world. Yeah. Which has gotten crazy, you know. It's a legend. It's a cartoon world now, but I do like that they created this universe of nothing but assassins, you know, going wild. Also, with every movie with that world, with the story, they've gotten just grander with it. So they have, whether you like it or not, they've grown the story in just wild ways. They have topped themselves. But really, like I said, at this point, by the time we got to 4, they have topped themselves with, you know, the order of assassins and whatnot. But most of the movie is just action.
Absolutely, absolutely. Because acting wise, it's like or at least, you know, dialogue and all. But it's mostly action. But it is gorgeous to look at. That's the thing I gotta say about that
everything
last
y'all
one.
saying for Extraction.
Yeah.
Literally.
I would probably say that maybe John Wick has a little more character
Yeah.
than Extraction 2, because even 4, you know, I really did enjoy Pennywise.
Yeah, no. You got Pennywise, you got Charon, you got
Lance Reddick.
Charon. Who's Ian McShane? I forget his character.
I forgot his Winston.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got all these different things to attach yourself to, and it's you know, it's basically a comic book. So it's easy to have that. But with Extraction, you're dealing with, you know, for the most part, real people in our world. And we got Chris Hemsworth. You know, we follow him. Everybody else, man, there's not much you can attach to that.
I don't see why you would not love the action here if that's what you really want. Now, if you're looking for a little bit more, I do understand, you know, where you're coming from. Yeah,
Because you know what, you remember in the first one where you hit that midpoint and then David Harbour comes in.
Yeah.
And you don't even think you're gonna get something like that. But that was a gem of a scene, and here we don't have that.
No, that is, you know, and I forgot that we did have David Harbour in this movie until I was trying to look at this trailer again. I was like, and then it started coming all back to me just how cool his character was. So yeah, you know, that this is a disappointment as far as being a sequel. You know, but again, if you were there for the action, then that's probably going to be. They do a lot better with the action. That was
It's more ambitious.
Yeah, it is. That was their main point. Even though it's a disappointment, even though I didn't like the characters here, even the ones that we've already come to like in the first one, I give this a matinee. The action I would give a full price, but then, you know, and that's most of the movie. But I'm judging this by a full movie and saying, yeah, it's a matinee for me.
I'm more of a rental in as much as it's on streaming, and like you, like the stuff that wasn't the action did 0 for me. But it is a good movie to have on streaming where you can fast forward and just watch the action sequences. And in that, you like you say, a full price. Yeah, you get a full plate with the action. Matter of fact, you could watch an action sequence and stop and go back and rewatch it just to notice all the stuff that you missed before.
You are 100% with that as far as me agreeing with you. I agree with you 100% on that, because I said if I go back and watch this again, I'm just going back and watching the prison scene and the train scene. I'm not stopping to watch this fool sit up there and stare off into space half the time. This fool, you know, he ain't shooting nobody. So yeah, you know. And, hey, like you said, man, it's on Netflix. It's easy to watch if you want.